जरा फिर से कहना
किसी दिन बनूंगी मैं राजा की रानी,
जरा फिर से कहना
बड़ी दिलरुबा है ये सारी कहानी,
जरा फिर से कहना फिर से कहना
किसी दिन बनूंगी मैं राजा की रानी,
जरा फिर से कहना झुकी नजर तेरी कमाल कर गई, उठी जो एक बार सवाल कर गई। झुकी झुकी नजर तेरी कमाल कर गई, उठी जो एक बार सवाल कर गई। उलझे तेरे केसों को संवारूंगा,
जरा फिर से कहना
किसी दिन बनेगी तू राजा की रानी,
जरा फिर से कहना
बड़ी दिलरुबा है ये सारी कहानी, फिर से कहना नशीन जान जा तू मेरी जान है,
तारीफ न करे तेरी मैं होश गवा बैठूं, ऐसा न हो चाहत में दुनिया को भुला बैठूं,
जरा फिर से कहना
किसी दिन बनूंगी मैं राजा की रानी,
जरा फिर से कहना से कहना, किसी दिन बनेगी तू राजा की रानी।
जरा फिर से कहना, बड़ी दिलरुबा है ये सारी कहानी।
जरा फिर से कहना, ला 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 ला।
जरा फिर से कहना, ला 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 ला।
जरा फिर से कहना। हो अब ना छुपाऊंगा, सबको बताऊंगा, तुझको कसम से मैं अपना बनाऊंगा। तू है सनम मेरा प्यार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक। तू है सनम मेरा प्यार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक।
सपनों में आऊंगी, नींदें उड़ाऊंगी, तुझको कसम से मैं अपना बनाऊंगी। मैंने छुपाया कई बार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक। मैंने छुपाया कई बार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक।
एक लड़का एक लड़की थी, एक दूजे पे मरते थे। राज वफा बतलाने से वो दोनों तो डरते थे।
पागल दिल ना माना, बन ही गया अफसाना। होने लगी मुलाकातें, खुल गई सारी बातें।
हो ऐसे न जाऊंगा, मस्ती लुटाऊंगा, गालों से तेरे मैं लाली चुराऊंगा। मैंने किया है इकरार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक। मैंने किया है इकरार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक।
सपनों में आऊंगी, नींदें उड़ाऊंगी, तुझको कसम से मैं अपना बनाऊंगी। मैंने छुपाया कई बार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक। मैंने छुपाया कई बार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक।
सबको बताऊंगा, तुझको कसम से मैं अपना बनाऊंगा। तू है सनम मेरा प्यार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक। तू है सनम मेरा प्यार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक।
मैंने छुपाया कई बार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक।
तू है सनम मेरा प्यार, ओए मेरा दिल तेरा आशिक।
आजा आजा ओ पिया, आज माने ना दिया, बाहों में ले ले हमें, सोचता है क्या हो जाने जा, हमको ना तड़पा, हो जाने जा, हमको ना तड़पा। ठंडी ठंडी है हवा, भीगी भीगी है फिजा, आग है दिल में जगी, प्यार बरसा जा, ओ जाने जा, हमको ना तड़पा, ओ जाने जा, हमको ना तड़पा। दूरियों से है सनम मेरा निकला जाए दम, गैर सा देखे है क्या, पासा तेरे हैं हम। दूरियों से है सनम मेरा निकला जाए दम, गैर सा देखे है क्या, पास आते हैं हम। दूरियों से है सनम मेरा निकला जाए दम, गैर सा देखे है क्या, पास आते हैं हम। सो रहा है ये जहां, प्यार से मुझको चुरा, हीरा हूँ मैं प्यार का, सीने पे सजा, हो जाने जा, हमको ना तड़पा, हो जाने जा, हमको ना तड़पा। रात न जाए गुजर, हम करें कैसे सबर, या तो हमको प्यार कर, या हमें दे दे जहर। रात ना जाए गुजर, हम करें कैसे सबर, या तो हमको प्यार कर, या हमें दे दे जहर। ओ रात ना जाए गुजर, हम करें कैसे सबर, या तो हमको प्यार कर, या हमें दे दे जहर। जुल्फ में छुप जा जरा, सोचता है क्या वो जाने जा हमको ना तड़पा जाने जा हमको ना तड़पा रे हमको ना तड़पा
ऐसा लगा तुमसे मिलके, अरमां हुए पूरे दिल के। तुमसे मिलके ऐसा लगा तुमसे मिलके, अरमां हुए पूरे दिल के। ऐ मेरी जाने वफा, तेरी मेरी मेरी तेरी एक जान है। साथ तेरे रहेंगे सदा, तुमसे न होंगे जुदा। तुमसे मिलके ऐसा लगा तुमसे मिलके, अरमां हुए पूरे दिल के। सनम तेरी कसम, छोड़ेंगे अब ना ये हाथ। ये जिंदगी गुजरेगी अब हमदम तुम्हारे ही साथ। अपना ये वादा रहा, तुमसे न होंगे जुदा। बस तेरा ही इंतजार।
तेरे बिना आता नहीं एक पल मुझे अब करार।
हमदम मेरा मिल गया, हम तुम न होंगे जुदा। हमदम मेरा मिल गया, अब हम न होंगे जुदा। तुमसे मिलके
ऐसा लगा तुमसे मिलके,
अरमां हुए पूरे दिल के। ऐ मेरी जाने वफा, तेरी मेरी मेरी तेरी एक जान है। साथ तेरे रहेंगे सदा, अब हम न होंगे जुदा। ला 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 ला।
मिलाए कभी अखियां चुराए क्या मैंने किया जादू अखियां मिलाए कभी अखियां चुराए क्या मैंने किया जादू कभी घबराए कभी गले लग जाए तेरा खुद पे नहीं काबू बिना पायल के ही बजे घुंघरू बिना पायल के ही बजे घुंघरू चीज है तू मुझको तो जान से अजीज है तू
इतनी न कर तारीफ मेरी जानो मैं तो जानू चाहत क्या तेरी
तेरी उल्फत का नशा छा गया कुछ भी हो जाने जा मजा आ गया
धीरे धीरे दुनिया से दूर हुई इश्क में तेरे में तो चूर हुई
अखियां मिलाए कभी अखियां चुराए क्या मैंने किया जादू अखियां मिलाए कभी अखियां चुराए क्या मैंने किया जादू कभी घबराए कभी गले लग जाए तेरा खुद पे नहीं काबू बिना पायल के ही बजे घुंघरू बिना पायल के ही बजे घुंघरू
अखियां मिलाओ कभी अखियां चुराओ क्या तुमने किया जादू अखियां मिलाओ कभी अखियां चुराओ क्या तूने किया जादू
तन्हाई 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 दोनों को पास ले आई, प्यार में बह गए तो दिल, मौज ये कैसी आई। तन्हाई 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 दोनों को पास ले आई, प्यार में बह गए तो दिल, मौज ये कैसी आई। तेरा एहसास मेरे पास रहा है, दर्द का तेरे एहसास रहा है, तेरा एहसास मेरे पास रहा है। एक तुझे बस मेरी लगन थी, बात ये देर से समझ में है आई।
तन्हाई 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 दोनों को पास ले आई, प्यार में बह गए दो दिल, मौज ये कैसी आई।
तन्हाई 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 दोनों को पास ले आई, प्यार में बह गए तो दिल, मौज ये कैसी आई।
Ding tanang ding dang dang dang, ding tanang ding dang, ding tanang ding ding nak nak ding ding tanang ding dang. Ho ha ho. कोई रोक सके तो रोक ले, मैं नाचती छन 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 छन, पालकी में होके सवार चली रे, मैं तो अपने अपने साजन के द्वार चली रे, पालकी में होके सवार चली रे, मैं तो अपने साजन के द्वार चली रे। कोई रोक सके तो रोक ले, मैं नाचती छन 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 छन, पालकी में होके सवार चली रे, मैं तो अपने साजन के द्वार चली रे। टिंग टरंग डिंग डंग डंग डंग, टिडिंग टरंग डंग डंग। जोबन, जोबन जोबन, ये मेरा जोबन किस काम का, किस काम का। घूंघट में चले कब तक बिरहन, बिरहन बिरहन बिरहन। मैं सर से चुनरी उतार चली रे, मैं सर से चुनरी उतार चली रे, मैं तो अपने साजन के द्वार चली रे। कोई रोक सके तो रोक ले, मैं नाचती छन 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 छन। पालकी में होके सवार चली रे, मैं तो अपने साजन के द्वार चली रे। पालकी में होके सवार चली रे, मैं तो अपने साजन के द्वार चली रे, मैं तो अपने साजन के द्वार चली रे। खुश नसीबी से मुझे प्यार इतना मिल गया, आज आंचल ही मेरा मुझको कम लगने लगा।
हो
खुश नसीबी से मुझे प्यार इतना मिल गया, आज आंचल ही मेरा मुझको कम लगने लगा।
मांगने तेरा हाथ में आया, देने सारा जीवन लाया। देखा तुझे तो हाँ जीने लगे हम, पाले तुझे तो ना हो मरने का गम। चाहना ना चाहना किसके बस की बात है, दिल का आ जाना किसी पर किस्मतों के हाथ है। चाहना ना चाहना किसके बस की बात है, दिल का आ जाना किसी पर किस्मतों के हाथ है।
पहला प्यार तो मिटते न देखा, ये तो है पत्थर की रेखा। देखा तुझे तो हो गई दीवानी, पालूं तुझे तो मर न जाऊं कहीं।
तेरे संग जीने को आया, तन मन अपना देने लाया। देखा तुझे तो जीने लगे हम, पाले तुझे तो ना हो मरने का गम।
The 30th birthday party was supposed to be a joyful occasion. Guests were gathered, the table was set, and congratulations were pouring in one after another. But the guest of honor, Danielle, didn't notice when her mother-in-law whispered something into her husband's ear. "While we're all here, drive over and switch out the locks on her condo. Her son obediently nodded and slipped out the door. An hour later he returned, his face as white as the tablecloth, and barely managed to stammer, "Mom, there. Hello dear listeners. I'm happy to welcome you to my channel. I present to you a new and fascinating story. Enjoy the listen." The court's decision came at the end of October. Outside, a fine drizzle was falling, and inside the condo on 14th Street, there was the smell of freshly brewed coffee mixed with a strange emptiness. Danny sat in the kitchen holding the stapled, sealed sheets of paper, unable to believe that these documents marked the end of 7 years of her life. The condo was hers entirely, completely. The judge had considered one simple fact that Marcus had brushed off all those years. She had paid the mortgage alone every single month without fail, without ever asking him for help. Marcus had worked here and there. He was always promising things, talking about prospects, about connections that were about to pop off. Meanwhile, she had consistently transferred money to the bank, skimped on lunch, and put away her bonuses. Now this was the result. The cold, stark lines of the judicial ruling stated that citizen Danielle Scott had the right of ownership to the one-bedroom condo at 1014th Street, apartment 42. Her former spouse had no claim to the property. Danny sipped her coffee and checked the time. Marcus was due to come collect his things in half an hour. She had deliberately chosen a weekday when she was working remotely. She didn't want him rummaging through the condo in her absence. She hadn't trusted him for a long time. The doorbell rang exactly at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Marcus stood on the threshold with a large gym bag and that familiar guilty look on his face. Over 7 years of marriage, Danny had memorized it. The downturned corners of his mouth, the downcast gaze, the attempt to project repentance. "Hey," he muttered, stepping across the threshold. "I'll be quick. Won't stay long." "Take your time," Danny replied in a level tone. "Just make sure the place is neat when you're done." Marcus nodded and walked into the living room. Danny stayed in the kitchen, listening as he opened the closet, took out shoe boxes, and rooted through the dresser drawers. It was a strange feeling to watch the remnants of another person's presence being wiped clean from your life. It should have been painful, but instead she felt a profound sense of detachment, as if this were all happening to someone else. After 40 minutes, Marcus reappeared with a stuffed bag and 2 shopping bags. "Danny," he started, pausing at the door. "I know things didn't work out the way we planned, but Marcus." Danny cut him off, not looking up from her laptop. "We didn't plan anything. I planned, I paid, I pulled us through. You just lived." He swallowed and shuffled his feet. "Mom said I could stay with her until I find my own place." "Of course, Mom." "Miss Lorraine Johnson." Danny managed a small, mirthless smile but said nothing. What was there to say? A 35-year-old man running back to his mother because he couldn't build a life for himself. It was only fitting. "Good luck to you," she managed. "Leave the keys on the shelf." Marcus placed the 2 keys for the apartment and the mailbox on the designated spot, gave a meek nod, and walked out. The door closed behind him with a soft click. Danny sat in the kitchen for another 10 minutes, just staring out the window. The rain intensified, streaming down the glass in crooked paths. Inside, she felt empty yet entirely at peace. That same evening, Ms. Lorraine Johnson greeted her son with open arms. She lived in a 3-bedroom apartment in East Troyant, the Bronx, in a building with chipped stucco and a creaky elevator. The apartment was furnished with heavy, outdated furniture from the 90s. A dark wood wall unit, a worn sofa, wall-to-wall carpeting. It smelled of old beef stew, and a sickly sweet air freshener Lorraine constantly ran in a humidifier. "Well, son, you've come home," she said, patting Marcus's shoulder. "I told you that whole mess wasn't going to end well." Marcus took off his jacket and tossed his bag into the corner. "Mom, not now." "Not now." "What?" "Not now. Tell the truth." Lorraine walked into the kitchen and pulled a pot out of the fridge. "I always knew she wasn't good enough for you. Too smart, too independent. Give women like that an inch and they'll take a mile. They'll ride you into the ground." Marcus dropped heavily into a chair, looking exhausted. She wanted me to earn more to help with the mortgage." "Ha." Lorraine poured the stew into a bowl and set it in front of her son. "And whose apartment was it to begin with?" "Mine. I signed it over to you 10 years ago. I thought you'd start a proper family, that I'd finally see some grandchildren. And now she sued for it as if it was her hard-earned money. Mom, the judge made a ruling. The judge? Lorraine scoffed. Courts always side with the women now. I bet she cried in there about how she did it all herself. And the fact that this is our family property, so to speak. Nobody cares about that. Marcus ate his stew in silence. Arguing with his mother was useless. She had always believed Danny was unworthy of their family. Too common, too poor, too stubborn. Lorraine had dreamed of a different daughter-in-law from a respectable family with connections, with an inheritance. Instead, she got a financial analyst from the Jersey Shore who worked her butt off at a bank and didn't feel the need to consult her mother-in-law on every detail. You know, Lorraine drawled, sitting opposite him, that condo was always ours and should stay ours. Marcus looked up. Mom, the court order is final. It's all written out. A ruling can be appealed, Lorraine cut in. Or we can find another way. What other way? She smiled, but it was a predatory, calculating grin. I'll think about it. I have some contacts who know how to handle these things. Marcus shrugged and continued eating. Lorraine, however, was already running through her mental contact list, thinking about who to call. She had old connections, people who, for a bottle of good bourbon, could suggest how to circumvent the law. Not break it, just circumvent it. There was a fine line and she knew it existed. The next day, while Marcus looked for work through old friends, Lorraine called her longtime acquaintance, Mr. Victor Haynes. He used to work at a law firm but had gone freelance consulting privately. He wasn't the most ethical specialist, but he was sharp. They met at a small cafe near the subway, ordering 2 cups of coffee. Lorraine laid out the situation. Mr. Haynes listened, nodding and jotting notes in a small notepad. Look, Miss Johnson, he began when she finished. If the court's decision is already final, appealing it is tough. You need new circumstances, new evidence, and based on your story you don't have any. But there has to be some option, she insisted. Mr. Haynes rubbed the bridge of his nose deep in thought. There is one scheme, but it's, shall we say, not entirely legal, or rather, it sits in a gray area. What is it? If your son's ex-wife voluntarily leaves the apartment for at least 24 hours, and he changes the locks and moves in during that time, you can establish a precedent of actual residence. Then through the courts you try to prove she actually abandoned the property, wasn't living there, and wasn't paying the utility bills. It's a long shot, but sometimes it works. Lorraine frowned. So she needs to go somewhere. Exactly. A business trip, vacation, to visit relatives. The main thing is that she's absent and can't return quickly. Your son changes the locks, moves in, and starts paying the utilities in his name. That's it. The rest is just procedure. But she'll call the cops. The police? Mr. Haynes corrected gently. She will, of course. But if your son shows some old documents proving the condo was once in his name, if he claims she moved out and abandoned the place herself, the police won't settle it on the spot. They'll tell them, solve it in court. And while the case is pending, he's already living there. The fact of residence is established. Lorraine nodded slowly, processing the information. The scheme looked risky but not hopeless. The main thing was to find the moment when Danny would be out of the condo for a long stretch. How much do you charge for your consultation? She asked, reaching for her purse. For you, Miss Johnson. It's on the house. Mr. Haynes smiled. We're old friends. Just remember, this is entirely at your own risk. If anything goes wrong, I was never here. Of course, she assured him. Thank you so much. They said goodbye and Lorraine went home with the feeling that a plan was beginning to take shape. She just needed to wait for the right opportunity. Meanwhile, back at the condo on 14th Street, Danny was sitting at her laptop, scrolling through real estate listings. She held no illusions about Lorraine Johnson. She knew her ex-mother-in-law wouldn't let this go easily. For 7 years, Lorraine had repeated that the condo belonged to the Johnson family, that Danny was a temporary guest, and that the true rights remained with them. After the divorce, Danny expected trouble. Calls, threats, attempts to pressure her through Marcus. But 2 weeks passed and nothing happened. Silence. Suspicious silence. Lorraine seemed to have vanished. No angry calls, no hateful messages. Danny knew this was the calm before the storm and decided to act first. She opened the website of a reputable real estate agency, found the contacts and dialed the number. A pleasant woman named Brenda answered. Good evening. I wanted to know how quickly I could sell a one-bedroom condo on 14th Street, Danny asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Depends on the price, Brenda replied. If the price is fair, we can find buyers in a week or two. The area is great and the demand is high. We can meet tomorrow, look at the condo and discuss the details. Let's do it, Danny agreed. Does 6 o'clock tomorrow evening work for you? Perfect. Text me the address and I'll be there. Danny dictated the address, said goodbye, and leaned back in her chair. Her heart was pounding and her palms were sweating. Selling the condo for which she had paid the mortgage for 7 years was a serious step, but she saw no other way. If Lorraine was plotting something, it was best to remove the main object of her obsession simply, quickly, permanently. Brenda turned out to be a punctual woman in her 40s, wearing a sharp pantsuit and a business smile. She walked through the condo, clicked her tongue appreciatively, and typed notes into a tablet. Not bad, she summarized. The renovation is recent. You can leave the furniture or take it, whatever you prefer. The area is prestigious, close to the subway. I'd advise listing it at $900,000, but we can realistically sell it for $880,000. Does that work? Danny nodded. The mortgage had been paid off 6 months ago. She'd made the final payment in May. $880,000 was good money. She could put it into a savings account, rent something smaller, simpler, and live quietly until she figured out her next move. That works, she said. When can we start? As soon as tomorrow. We'll sign the agreement. I'll post the listing and I'll start bringing buyers in. People usually jump on condos like this fast. They signed the agreement the next day. Brenda was right. Within a week, the first interested parties appeared. A young couple with a 3-year-old son, both working with solid references. The husband introduced himself as Andre. He was a city police officer. His wife, Crystal, was an accountant. They were moving out of a small, cramped rental and had dreamed of owning their own place for years. Danny met them at the condo, showed them around, and answered their questions. Crystal gasped with enthusiasm, looking at the kitchen, the bathroom, and the small balcony. Andre silently inspected the windows, checked the pipes, and tapped the walls. It works for us, he finally said. We're ready to make an offer. Excellent, Danny nodded. Then let's get the paperwork started. The closing went quickly without any hang-ups. 3 weeks after the first call to the realtor, Danny received the money in her bank account and handed the keys to the new owners. Andre shook her hand and Crystal gave her a hug, thanking her for her honesty and for not hiking up the price. Good luck to you both, Danny said, standing on the threshold of the condo that was no longer hers. Live happily. She left without looking back. It was the end of one chapter and the beginning of something new, unclear yet, but certainly her own. Danny didn't tell anyone about the sale. Not her friends, not her colleagues, and certainly not Marcus or his mother. Why bait the bear prematurely? Let Lorraine find out when the time was right, or maybe never. That was an option too. Danny rented a small one-bedroom in a new building in Jersey City, New Jersey, near the PATH station. The apartment was small but bright with big windows and a clean lobby. $2,800 a month, manageable. She spread the money from the sale across 3 different bank accounts to create a solid security cushion. For the first 2 weeks in the new place, she grew accustomed to the quiet. She didn't have to jump out of bed to Marcus' alarm clock in the morning, listen to his endless phone calls, or tolerate his habit of leaving socks all over the floor. Now there was order. Her order. One evening, as Danny was sitting in the kitchen with a cup of tea, reading a book, her friend Tiffany called. Girl, when are you going to celebrate your birthday? She asked without preamble. Your 30th is right around the corner. Danny paused. Indeed, she would turn 30 in 3 weeks. Usually, she disliked noisy parties, but this time she felt like celebrating. New life, new age? Why not? I think I will, she replied. I need to figure out where though. Let's book a cool spot, a restaurant or something, Tiffany suggested. We'll gather 20 people, have a decent time. Sounds good, Danny agreed. I'll find a place and text you. She hung up and thought about it. A restaurant was a good idea. Neutral territory, no memories, a chance to relax. Danny went online, checked reviews, and chose a place called the Blue Note Cafe in Greenwich Village. Cozy with good food and reasonable prices. She booked a table for 20 people and sent out invitations to friends, colleagues, and distant relatives. She certainly didn't invite Marcus. Why ruin her own party? Then a week before her birthday, Miss Lorraine Johnson called. Lorraine's voice on the phone was unexpectedly soft, almost affectionate. Danny was taken aback for a second. In 7 years of marriage, her mother-in-law had used that tone only in front of strangers, purely for appearances. "Darling Danielle, hello," Lorraine sang. "How are you? How's life?" "Hello," Danny answered cautiously, setting aside her book. "Everything's fine." "That's good. That's wonderful. I was just thinking, your birthday is coming up, isn't it? 30 is a big deal. An anniversary, no less." Danny was silent, waiting for the rest. Lorraine wasn't the type to call just for a chat. Every gesture, every word of hers always served some purpose. "Are you planning a celebration?" Her mother-in-law continued. "Yes, I am. A small party at a cafe." "Oh, how marvelous," Lorraine feigned delight. "You know, I thought about it. We were family for 7 years after all. Of course, things didn't work out the way we hoped. But that's no reason to completely cut ties. Maybe I could come too. I'd like to congratulate you, wish you happiness like a normal person with no hard feelings." Danny gripped the phone tighter. Something cold clenched inside her. She knew perfectly well that Lorraine wasn't capable of selfless kindness, but refusing her outright felt awkward. After all, for 7 years they had formally been family. "Fine," Danny said. Slowly. "You can come. The Blue Oak Cafe on 7th Avenue. The date is the 19th at 7 o'clock in the evening." "Wonderful," Lorraine exclaimed. "I'll definitely be there. Thank you for not holding a grudge. You're a smart girl, Danielle." "I always said that." She never said that, Danny thought. But she only said, "See you then." Lorraine hung up with surprising warmth. Danny sat with the phone in her hand for another minute, staring at a single point. Something was wrong here. Completely wrong. But what exactly? She couldn't yet figure out. The next day, Danny met with Brenda, the realtor, at the bank to set up the investment accounts. The money from the condo sale was in her checking account, and she needed to allocate it wisely. Brenda advised opening 3 separate accounts in different banks for protection. "Times are unstable right now," she explained while they waited for a manager. "It's best not to put all your eggs in one basket. Divide it into $300,000 chunks and you can sleep soundly." Danny nodded. Logical. She opened the first account here and decided to open the rest over the next week. While the manager was filling out the papers, Danny glanced distractedly at the window. There weren't many people in the branch, a few in line, consultants behind the desks. Just a normal weekday. The paperwork was completed quickly. Danny took the contract, thanked the manager, and left the bank with a sense of accomplishment. She now had a safety cushion. She could breathe free. Meanwhile, back at the apartment in Eastmont, Lorraine was sitting in the kitchen opposite Marcus, laying out the plan. Her son listened in silence, occasionally nodding, sometimes frowning. "You understand," Lorraine said, stirring sugar into her tea. "We'll only get one shot. While she's at the restaurant with all her guests, you'll quietly slip away. Say you have an urgent phone call. You'll drive to 14th Street, call the locksmith and switch out the locks." "Mom, that's a," Marcus began, but she interrupted him. "This is our legal way to get back what belongs to our family. That condo was mine. I signed it over to you. That means it has to stay in the family. And that one," Lorraine pursed her lips scornfully. "That upstart simply took advantage of the situation." "But the court ruling—" "I don't care about the court ruling," Lorraine snapped. "Victor Haynes explained everything. If you move in, start living there, and pay the utilities, it sets a precedent. Then we go to court and prove she abandoned the condo. And that's it. Case closed." Marcus rubbed his face with his hands. "What if she comes back early, calls the cops?" "She won't," Lorraine said confidently. "The place will be packed with guests. She won't want to ruin her own party. While she's sitting there, you'll do everything quickly and quietly." Marcus looked at his mother. A gambling light was burning in her eyes. She was so certain of success that he didn't have the courage to argue. He had always obeyed his mother. Since childhood, she knew best. She made the decisions for him, and she was in charge now, too. "All right," he sighed. "We'll try it. That's my boy." Lorraine smiled contentedly. I knew you wouldn't let me down. They sat a little longer discussing the details. Marcus had to find a locksmith in advance and arrange for him to be ready to come at a moment's notice. Lorraine promised to pay for the services. She had been saving money just in case. A few days later, Marcus found a handyman online. He agreed to change the locks without asking too many questions for $150. Marcus noted his number and warned him that he would call on the evening of the 19th. I'll be ready, the locksmith promised. Just text me the address beforehand. I will, Marcus assured him. He hung up and felt the unpleasant claws of anxiety scratching in his gut. Something about this whole scheme felt wrong, risky, but his mother insisted, and he didn't know how to tell her no. He never had. The 19th of the month was approaching. Danny had confirmed the reservation at the Blue Note, ordered the cake from a nearby bakery, and finalized the guest list. Her friend Tiffany took charge of the entertainment, promising to come up with a couple of fun games to keep things lively. Just nothing trashy, Danny warned. I'm turning 30, not 18. I know, Tiffany waved off the concern. Everything will be classy and tasteful. 2 days before the party, Danny received a bonus at work. Small but a nice surprise. She decided to spend it on a new dress. She went to the mall, browsed a few stores, and chose a simple dark blue sheath dress with long sleeves and a knee-length skirt. Nothing flashy but elegant. She tried it on and looked at herself in the mirror. Her reflection smiled back. For the first time in a long time, Danny liked what she saw. Not an exhausted woman weighed down by a family and a mortgage, but simply her, free, calm, with a clear look in her eyes. I'll take it, she told the sales associate. The dress was packaged. Danny paid and left the store with the bag in her hand. It had gotten chilly outside, and the wind tousled her hair, but her mood was good. Ahead lay a celebration, a new life, new opportunities. The past was behind her along with Marcus, his mother, and that condo on 14th Street for which she had paid the loan for so long. Now other people lived there, Andre, Crystal, and their young son. Danny had caught herself wondering a few times how they were doing, if they had settled in, and if they liked it. Crystal had texted her a couple of times in a messenger app, thanking her for the condo, and sharing photos of them renovating the nursery and bringing in new furniture. We are so happy, Crystal wrote. Thank you so much for selling us this place. It was a dream come true for us. Danny replied briefly but warmly. She was glad the condo had gone to good people, not random speculators or greedy investors, but a normal family who would live there and raise a child. She also sometimes thought about what would happen if Lorraine found out about the sale, how she would react. She would probably throw a tantrum, accuse Danny of every sin, and try to dispute the deal, even though it was legally impossible. Everything had been processed according to the law. All the documents were signed. But Lorraine didn't know yet, and Danny didn't intend to tell her. Let her find out someday. The day before her birthday, Danny called the restaurant manager to confirm the details. The table was ready, the menu agreed upon, and the cake would arrive at 9 o'clock in the evening. Everything was on track. In the evening, she sat at home drinking tea and thinking about how strange life could be. Just 6 months ago, she was married, living on 14th Street, dreaming of children. And now she was divorced, living in a rental and only beginning to understand who she really was and what she wanted. Maybe the divorce wasn't an end, but a beginning. Not a defeat, but a liberation. Maybe something good was ahead. Danny didn't know for sure. But for the first time in many months, she felt hope. Her phone vibrated. A message from Tiffany. Tomorrow's going to be fun. Get ready. I planned everything. There's a surprise. Danny smiled and replied with an emoji. Tomorrow was her 30th birthday. A new chapter in life. And even though there was uncertainty ahead, she wasn't afraid anymore. On the morning of the 19th, Danny woke up to sunlight streaming through the window. She got up, did some light stretches, took a shower, dressed in jeans and a light sweater, and pulled her hair back into a ponytail. It was going to be a long day. She needed to be at the cafe by 6 o'clock in the evening to check everything and greet the first guests. Danny ate breakfast, tidied up her apartment, then took out her new dress and hung it up to smooth out the creases. Closer to 5 o'clock, she started getting ready. She put on light makeup, styled her hair, and slipped into the dress. Looking in the mirror, she thought she looked perfectly fine. Not regal but not cheap, modest and tasteful. At 5:30 she called a cab. The driver arrived quickly and got her there without traffic. The Blue Note Cafe was located on a quiet street, a small building with a wooden sign and cozy windows. Inside, it smelled of cinnamon and fresh pastries. The manager, a young woman, greeted Danny with a smile. "Good evening. Are you Danielle? We're expecting you. The table is ready. I'll show you now." She led Danny to the back room where a long table was set for 20 people. A white tablecloth, silverware, wine glasses, small bouquets of wild flowers decorated the center. Everything looked lovely and neat. "Thank you," Danny said. "It's beautiful." "You're welcome. If you need anything at all, just ask. The servers will be close by." The guests started arriving around 7. First Tiffany and her husband, then colleagues from work, then distant relatives and friends from college. People sat down making noise and laughing. Danny stood by the entrance, greeting everyone, giving hugs and accepting congratulations. Right at 7 o'clock, Ms. Lorraine Johnson appeared. She was dressed in a severe burgundy pantsuit, her hair neatly styled in a short cut and bright lipstick on her lips. She looked, as always, confident and slightly condescending. "Happy birthday, Danielle." Lorraine offered a bouquet of roses and a box of chocolates. "I wish you happiness, health, and prosperity." "Thank you," Danny replied coolly, taking the flowers. "May I sit back there at the end?" Lorraine pointed to an empty seat. "So I don't bother anyone." "Of course, sit wherever you like," Danny allowed. Lorraine walked to the table, sat down, and scanned the guests with a critical eye. Danny watched her and felt a slight twinge of anxiety. Why had she come? Just to congratulate her? Unlikely. Lorraine always had a plan. Always. But now was not the time to dwell on it. Danny returned to her guests, raised a glass of champagne, and gave a short speech of thanks. Everyone clapped, drank a toast to the birthday girl, and the appetizers began to be served. The evening proceeded as planned. Conversations, jokes, toasts. Tiffany organized a few games, guessed the song by the melody, composing a congratulation from random words. The crowd livened up, and the atmosphere became warm and relaxed. Danny sat at the head of the table, listening to her friends' stories and laughing at her colleagues' jokes. Lorraine was silent, occasionally nodding and eating a little, but Danny could feel her gaze, heavy, assessing. Around 8 o'clock in the evening, the servers brought out the cake. It was large, 3-tiered, decorated with strawberries and whipped cream. 30 candles glowed on top. The guests sang happy birthday. Danny made a wish and blew out the candles. It was exactly at that moment that Lorraine leaned toward her son. Danny only now noticed that Marcus was also there. He was sitting next to his mother, silent, looking distracted. When had he arrived? Danny hadn't invited him. Lorraine quickly whispered something into Marcus's ear. Danny, who was just walking away from the table, carrying an empty glass to the bar to ask for more champagne, passed right by their seats, and happened to catch a fragment of the phrase, "While everyone's here, drive over and switch out the locks on her condo." Danny froze for a second. Her heart skipped a beat. She turned around. Marcus nodded to his mother, mumbled something, and quickly got up from the table. He pulled out his phone, held it to his ear and feigned distress. "Excuse me, urgent call." He tossed out to the room and headed for the exit. Danny stood at the bar, squeezing the empty glass in her hand. Dozens of thoughts raced through her head. So that's why Lorraine invited herself to the party. That's why she dragged her son along. They were planning to change the locks on the condo while she was here, surrounded by guests. Only they didn't know one thing. The condo wasn't hers anymore. The condo was sold. Danny slowly exhaled, collected herself, returned to the table and sat back down. She raised her glass of champagne. A friend was telling a story about her vacation. Everyone was listening and laughing. Danny smiled, nodded, and pretended to listen. But inside everything grew cold with quiet triumph. They were heading to 14th Street now, going to call a locksmith and try to change the locks, and a big surprise was waiting for them. Lorraine sat in her seat sipping wine, occasionally glancing at her watch. Danny watched her out of the corner of her eye. Her ex-mother-in-law looked tense but pleased. She clearly thought of the plan was proceeding on schedule. Half an hour passed, then another 20 minutes. The guests continued to enjoy themselves. Tiffany started up the sing-along. Someone started singing. Danny joined in applauding, but inside she was counting the minutes. Exactly 1 hour later, the cafe door burst open and Marcus walked into the room. His face was pale, almost gray, and his hands were trembling. He crossed the room quickly, walked up to his mother, and leaned into her ear. Danny saw his lips moving, how he was whispering something frantically, and saw how Lorraine's face slowly shifted from smug self-satisfaction to confusion, then to pure horror. Lorraine grabbed her son's elbow, abruptly stood up, and dragged him toward the exit. Marcus stumbled after her, muttering something. They disappeared into the hallway. Danny finished her champagne and set the glass on the table. A strange feeling spread through her. Not spite, not revenge, just quiet satisfaction, justice. They had tried to steal what she had worked her butt off for 7 years, and they got nothing but an empty victory. A few minutes later, Lorraine returned to the room. Her face was distorted, her lips tightly pressed. She walked to her seat, grabbed her purse and put on her coat. Danny followed her with her eyes. Their gazes met for a second. Danny smiled, the same smile she used when accepting a compliment. Soft, polite, absolutely emotionless. Lorraine understood everything without a word, froze, and turned even paler. Then she spun around and left without saying goodbye. The party continued until 11 o'clock in the evening. The guests left happy, hugging Danny goodbye and wishing her happiness. Tiffany stayed behind to help tidy up. "Listen, what was up with your ex-mother-in-law?" she asked, folding napkins. She looked completely wiped out when she left. "I don't know," Danny shrugged. "Maybe she wasn't feeling well." "Well, whatever," Tiffany waved a hand. "The important thing is that everything went perfectly for you. Did you have fun?" "Very much," Danny answered sincerely. "Thank you for everything." They hugged. Tiffany left. Danny called a cab and headed home. In the car, she took out her phone and saw several missed calls from Marcus. She opened the messages. "First, Danny, what are you doing? Second, you sold the condo. How could you? Third, this is low. You set this whole thing up." Danny smirked and blocked his number. There was no point in answering. Everything had already been said. At home she changed, washed her face and got into bed. Outside the window the city lights buzzed. Cars honked in the distance. Danny closed her eyes and for the first time in many months fell asleep peacefully without anxious thoughts, without fear. She had done what she needed to do. She had protected herself and now she could live her life. The morning after her birthday started with a quiet phone. Danny woke up late around 10 o'clock, well-rested and surprisingly energetic. The sun was shining outside and the room was warm. She stretched, got up and went to the kitchen to put the kettle on. Her phone lay on the table, the screen dark. Danny unlocked it and looked. A few birthday messages from guests, a couple of photos from the party from Tiffany, and one more message received overnight from an unfamiliar number. "You'll regret this. We will find a way to get the condo back. It's our family property." Danny shook her head and deleted the message. Lorraine's threats didn't bother her. Family property. The condo had been in Marcus's name, then transferred to her by court order. Legally sound, clean, no alternative. And the fact that she had sold her own property was her private business. There could be no claims. She poured the tea, sat by the window, and watched the street. Pedestrians hurried about their business. Someone was walking a dog. Someone else was carrying groceries. Normal life, measured, peaceful, her new life. Her phone rang, an unfamiliar number. Danny paused for a second, then answered. "Hello, Danielle Scott." A man's voice asked, sounding a little anxious. "It's Andre. We bought your condo, remember?" "Yes, of course I remember." "Hello. Has something happened?" "Well, how can I put it?" Andre hesitated. "Last night, some guy showed up with a locksmith. They tried to change the locks. Said the condo was theirs, that we were living here illegally." Danny chuckled. "And what did you do?" "I was honestly stunned at first, excuse my language. I thought they were some kind of scammers. I asked for documents. They started stalling. I called the precinct, my colleagues. A patrol car came and took a report. The guy claimed he was the ex-husband of the owner, that the condo was supposed to be his. I showed them our purchase agreement and the deed. In short, they were escorted out, but he threatened to go to court." "Let him," Danny said calmly. "All your documents are in order. The transaction was clean notarized. There can be no claims against you. If they come back, call the police right away. Don't talk to them. It's unlawful entry. We will. Andre exhaled in relief. I just thought I should warn you in case they try to think up something else. Thank you for calling. Don't worry. Everything will be fine. They said goodbye. Danny put down the phone and thought. So Marcus had driven to 14th Street with a locksmith and tried to change the locks, but he was met by Andre, a police officer, a man who by duty knew exactly how to act in such situations. The irony of fate. Danny imagined the scene. Marcus with lock-picking tools at the door. The locksmith fumbling with the lock, and then the door opens. A scowling guy in sweats stands on the threshold. Marcus starts explaining his rights, waving some papers, and the guy pulls out his official badge. I'm a police officer. Are you attempting to unlawfully enter a private residence? The look on Marcus's face when he realized he was trapped. How he tried to justify himself, muttering something about a mistake, a misunderstanding, how he called his mother to report. How she told him to return immediately. Danny laughed quietly to herself, not maliciously, just at the sheer absurdity of the situation. Lorraine had planned everything so carefully, so confidently moving toward her goal, and she had run straight into a wall. A wall that Danny had built in advance, quietly, without any fuss. The doorbell rang. Danny grew cautious, walked over and peered through the peephole. A delivery driver stood outside with a large bouquet of flowers. Danielle Scott? He asked when she opened the door. Yes, this is for you. Please sign. Danny signed and took the bouquet. A huge arrangement of white lilies and pink peonies. Beautiful, expensive. Who could have sent it? She opened the card. Danielle, congratulations on your birthday. May your new year of life bring you joy. Love, your Aunt Carol. Danny smiled. Aunt Carol, her father's sister, lived in Miami. They rarely saw each other but kept in touch. A kind woman who always remembered birthdays and holidays. Danny put the bouquet in a vase and added water. The flowers instantly transformed the room, adding warmth. She sent her aunt a thank you text and received a shower of hearts and well wishes in return. The day dragged on. Danny tidied up her place, prepared dinner, and watched a couple of episodes of a show. In the evening, Tiffany called. Girl, you won't believe what I found out today. Her friend started without introduction. You remember that ex-mother-in-law of yours who was there yesterday, the one acting weird? So, my friend works in her neighborhood. She ran into her at the supermarket today. Said Lorraine was completely frantic, yelling at the cashier over some minor thing. Almost caused a scene, then stormed out of the store, muttering to herself. Danny chuckled. Well, everyone has a bad day. No, the kicker is that she was saying something about the condo, about a betrayal. My friend didn't listen too closely, but she caught snippets. Like she planned this whole thing. We'll get what's ours. Anyway, there was definitely a story going on. There was a story, Danny confirmed. But it's over now. You going to tell me about it someday? Someday? Danny promised. They chatted about trivial things for a while. Tiffany thanked her again for the party last night. Then they said their goodbyes. Danny lay down on the sofa and pulled a blanket over herself. Outside it was getting dark and the streetlights were turning on. The room grew dim and quiet. She closed her eyes, thinking about what would happen next. Lorraine was unlikely to give up easily. She was one of those people who didn't know how to lose. She would look for ways, loopholes, options. Maybe she would try to sue to dispute the sale. But on what grounds? The condo was Danny's property. She had every right to dispose of it however she pleased. Or maybe she would try to pressure her through Marcus, forcing him to file complaints, statements, but that too was futile. The sale was done according to all the rules, notarized and registered with the county recorder's office. There was nothing to fault. Danny knew that the main thing now was to stay calm, not to give in to provocations, not to engage in arguments, but simply to keep living her life, building her future without looking back at the past. The next day, Monday, she went to work. Colleagues congratulated her and asked how the party went. Danny answered briefly without going into detail. The day passed normally. Reports, meetings, planning sessions. In the evening, as she was returning home, another unknown number called her. This time it was a woman's voice. Danielle, this is Crystal, Andre's wife. We bought your condo. Hello, Danny replied, stopping near the entrance to her building. Has something happened? No, everything's fine. Crystal quickly reassured her. I just wanted to thank you. Andre told me about that situation with your ex-husband. We realized that you knew in advance they might try something and you still sold us the condo honestly at a fair price. You didn't inflate the cost. You didn't try to deceive us. Thank you so much. Danny was touched. You're welcome. Honestly, I just wanted the condo to go to good people, and you are exactly that. We're really trying, Crystal laughed. We've almost finished remodeling the nursery. Our son is ecstatic. If you're ever in the neighborhood, stop by and we'll have tea. I absolutely will. Danny promised. Thank you for the invitation. They said goodbye. Danny went up to her apartment, took off her shoes and changed her clothes. She brewed tea in the kitchen and sat by the window. Her phone vibrated again. A message from Marcus. She had blocked his number, but he texted her from a different one. Danny, we need to talk. This is serious. Danny hesitated. She didn't want to talk to him, but maybe she should set a final boundary so he would understand that he wouldn't win and that it was truly over. She replied briefly. About what? The answer came almost instantly. The condo. You had no right to sell it without my consent. Danny smirked and typed a reply. The condo was my property by court order. I had every right to dispose of it as I saw fit. Read the civil code in your spare time. Mom says we can appeal it in court that you sold property acquired during the marriage. Property acquired by me alone. You didn't put a dime into the mortgage for 7 years. All the receipts, all the payment slips, I still have them. Go to court. They'll explain everything to you. A few minutes of silence, then a new message. You're just getting revenge for the divorce. Danny shook her head and replied one last time. I'm not seeking revenge. I'm protecting what's mine. Do you feel the difference? Leave me alone, Marcus. Move on with your life. I don't owe you anything. She blocked that number too. She wasn't going to reply anymore. Everything that needed to be said was said. A week passed. Danny went to work, met up with friends and did yoga in the evenings. Life was settling into a calm rhythm. No calls from Marcus, no threats from Lorraine. Silence. Danny almost relaxed, deciding that everything was behind her. But on Saturday morning, as she was returning from the store with bags of groceries, Lorraine was waiting for her near the entrance. Her ex-mother-in-law stood by the door wearing a long coat and dark sunglasses. When Danny approached, Lorraine took off her glasses and stared intently. I need to talk to you, she said in a cold, level tone. We have nothing to talk about, Danny replied, pulling out her key fob for the building entrance. Oh yes we do. Lorraine stepped closer. You stole our condo. I didn't steal it. I sold my property. That condo was mine. The mother-in-law's voice rose. I bought it. I signed it over to Marcus. It was our family home and you destroyed it. Danny turned and looked at her calmly. Lorraine, the condo was in Marcus's name. Then it was transferred to me by court order legally and finally, I paid the mortgage for 7 years alone. It is my right to dispose of what I paid for. You have nothing to do with it. Yes, I do. Lorraine clenched her fists. It was my investment in my son's future. And you ruined everything. You sold the condo specifically to spite us. I sold the condo to protect myself, Danny corrected. Because I knew you would try to take it back and you did try on my birthday. You sent Marcus to change the locks while I was at the restaurant. Did you think I wouldn't notice? Wouldn't figure it out? Lorraine paused, taking a step back. You were listening. I heard you by accident. Danny opened the entry door, punched in the code, and realized she had been right to sell the condo beforehand. Can you imagine how you looked when Marcus came back when he realized other people were already living there? A police officer opened the door to him, by the way. I bet you were terrified. Lorraine stood silently, her lips trembling. You set us up. I protected myself. Danny repeated. You only have yourselves to blame. Greed was your downfall. You could have just accepted the court's decision and moved on. But no, you absolutely had to take away what you believed didn't belong to me. Well, now you have your result. We'll sue, Lorraine hissed. We'll prove the sale was illegal. Go ahead, Danny replied calmly. All my documents are in order. The sale was notarized and registered. The buyers are law-abiding citizens. Everything was paid for. Everything is clean. You'll only lose time and money. She walked into the building. The door closed behind her. Lorraine was left standing outside looking lost and white-faced. Danny walked up to her floor, entered her apartment, set the bags down in the kitchen, leaned against the wall and took a deep breath. Her hands were shaking, not from fear but from the tension. The conversation with Lorraine was draining, but she had held her ground. She hadn't snapped or said anything unnecessary. She had just spoken the truth. Her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. "You'll still regret this." Danny deleted the message and blocked the number. How long would this go on? How long would they try to intimidate her? She took out her phone and dialed Andre's number. "Hello, Andre. This is Danielle Scott. I have a question. If I keep getting threats from my ex-mother-in-law, what can I do?" "You can file a police report," Andre replied. "Threats are serious. Keep all the messages. Record the conversations if she calls, then bring them down to the precinct. We'll take a statement." "Understood. Thank you. Call if you need anything. We'll help." Danny hung up. So, if it continued, she would have to go to the police, but for now she would just block all the numbers and cut off all contact. Maybe Lorraine would settle down and realize that she wouldn't accomplish anything. A few more days passed. The threats stopped. There were no more calls. Danny began to forget about the whole story, focusing on work, plans, and the future. One evening, she was at home sorting through documents and found an old photograph. Her and Marcus's wedding, young, happy, with huge smiles. She was 23, he was 28. They believed they had a long life together ahead. Children, grandchildren. It didn't work out. Life had other plans. Danny looked at the photo for another minute, then tore it in half and threw it in the trash. The past was in the past. It was time to look ahead. On Saturday, she went to the bank to open the last investment account. The line was short, only a few people. Danny stood at the back, took out her phone and started scrolling through the news. A tall man in jeans and a jacket stood ahead of her, talking on the phone and laughing. His voice sounded familiar. Danny looked up and paused. It was Andre Davis, the police officer who had bought her condo. He finished his call, turned around, saw her and smiled. "Oh, Danielle Scott, what a coincidence. You at the bank too?" "Yes." Danny nodded, smiling back. "Opening an account?" "Same here. Crystal sent me. Said, we need to put the money in to earn some interest or it's just sitting at home doing nothing." They struck up a conversation. Andre talked about the renovations, about his son who loved the new condo. Danny listened, happy that things had worked out well for them. "Oh, by the way," Andre recalled, "that mother-in-law of yours hasn't shown up again, has she?" Complete silence, Danny replied. "Same here," he said. "I think she finally realized it's pointless." "Well, that's good. The main thing is for her to leave you alone." They were called to the managers. They went to separate windows, waving goodbye to each other. Danny opened her account, received the documents, and left the bank. The sun was shining outside and a light wind was blowing. It was early November, but the weather was warm, almost autumnal. Danny walked down the street, thinking about how strangely things sometimes align. She had sold her condo to strangers and they turned out to be good, decent people. They had helped her unintentionally simply by being in the right place at the right time. And Lorraine Johnson, with all her plans, intrigues, and attempts to control everything, had lost simply because she underestimated Danny. She thought Danny would tolerate it, remain silent, and obey. But Danny turned out to be stronger. That evening, she sat at home drinking coffee and looking out the window. Her phone lay beside her, silent. No threats, no calls. Silence. A deep, genuine silence. Danny leaned back against the sofa, closed her eyes. Ahead lay a new life, unknown but no longer frightening. She had handled it, protected herself without breaking the law, without stooping to dirty methods. She had simply made the right choice at the right time. And now she was free. 2 months passed since the birthday. December covered the city in snow and pre-holiday hustle. Danny went to work, met friends, and planned how to spend the holidays. Life flowed smoothly without shocks or surprises. There was no sign or sound from Marcus or Lorraine. Silence. Danny sometimes caught herself still expecting a trick. Everything had ended too easily. But days went by, weeks passed, and there were no new attempts to get to her. One Saturday, Danny went to the mall in downtown Brooklyn to buy Christmas presents. She wandered the floors, browsed the stores, trying on scarves and gloves. The place was packed, long lines at the registers, holiday music blaring from the speakers. She stood by a bookstore window looking at the new releases when she caught a familiar figure out of the corner of her eye. She turned around. A few feet away, Lorraine Johnson was walking alone with a worn bag slung over her shoulder wearing an old coat. She looked older, tired. She walked slowly, gazing distractedly around. Danny froze, unsure how to react. Turn away. Leave. But at that moment their eyes met. Lorraine stopped, her face twitching. She stood for a second, then quickly turned around and walked in the opposite direction. Danny watched her go. Inside there was no triumph, no malice, just a strange emptiness. This woman had once been her mother-in-law. For 7 years, they had seen each other at holidays and family dinners. Lorraine had never accepted Danny, considering her unworthy of her son, and now she just walked by without a word. Danny sighed, returned to the window, picked out a couple of books for her friend Tiffany, paid and continued on. On the 3rd floor she went into a toy store. She wanted to buy something for Andre and Crystal's son. Crystal had texted her again recently, inviting her over. Danny decided it was finally time to visit. She chose a bright construction set with toy cars. The boy was at an age where those things were fun. She paid and asked for it to be wrapped in gift paper. As she was leaving the store with the bags, she saw Lorraine again. She was standing by the fountain on the 1st floor talking on the phone. Her voice was loud and irritated. I told you there's no money. Where would I get it? Marcus still doesn't have a decent job. I'm living off my pension. Danny involuntarily slowed down and listened. What lawyer? Lorraine continued. Do you know how much that cost? I already gave Victor Haynes $250 for a consultation. 0 results. He said himself the sale was clean. There's nothing to challenge. Pause, then again. So what do we do now? Give up? She sold everything, put the money in her pocket, and we're left with nothing. Danny turned away and walked toward the exit. She didn't want to listen any further. It even felt a little uncomfortable to eavesdrop on someone else's problems, even if they concerned her. It was frosty outside, and the snow crunched under her feet. Danny walked to the bus stop, got on the bus and headed home. On the way she thought about Lorraine and Marcus. They really were left with nothing. They hadn't gotten the condo back. They had no money for lawyers and no strength to continue the fight. But was that her fault? She hadn't taken anything from them. She had simply protected her right, which she had earned with 7 years of mortgage payments. If Lorraine had accepted the court ruling and moved on, everything would have been different. But she wanted more. She wanted to take away the last thing, and she lost. Danny arrived home, put away the groceries, brewed tea, and sat by the window, watching the snowflakes swirling outside the glass. Her phone lay beside her, the screen lit up. A message from Crystal, a picture of their son with a new toy. The caption, "Thank you for the gift. He hasn't put the construction set down." Danny smiled, replied with a heart emoji, put the phone in her pocket, and walked to the bus stop. Ahead lay normal life, work, friends, plans, without an ex-husband, without a toxic mother-in-law, without a fight for what was rightfully hers. She had won that war, not with force or cunning, but simply with smarts and composure. Lorraine wanted to take the condo, stage the birthday party, and sent her son to change the locks, but Danny had simply sold what was hers. And that was it. The end of the story. The bus arrived. Danny sat by the window. The city floated by outside the glass. Gray buildings, snowy streets, and sparse passers-by. A typical January day. Typical life. Her life. That evening she sat at home reading a book. Her phone was silent. No threats, no calls. Silence. A real deep silence. Danny leaned back on the pillow and closed her eyes. Ahead lay the new year. A new position at work, new acquaintances, and new opportunities. The past was behind her. Along with the mortgage she had paid for 7 years. Along with the husband who didn't want to work. Along with the mother-in-law who thought Danny was unworthy of her family. None of it mattered now. Danny had built a new life. Her own life. The one she wanted. And no one could destroy it anymore. She opened her eyes and looked at the clock. 9:30 in the evening. Time for bed. She had to get enough sleep for work tomorrow. Danny got up, went to the bedroom, lay down, pulled up the covers and turned off the light. Outside the window the city lights buzzed. Cars drove by. People walked, some argued, and some made up. Life went on, and Danny was a part of that life. Not a victim of circumstances, not a broken woman, but simply a person who made the right choice at the right time. She closed her eyes and fell asleep peacefully, without anxious dreams, without fears. A new day was ahead and she was ready to face it. I'm really glad you're here and that I could share my story with you. If you liked it, show me by liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Let's see how many of us there are. Write in the comments which city you're watching from and what time it is. I'm so curious to know where all you wonderful people are tuning in from. If you want to support me a little extra, you can also send a small donation. I share new life stories for you every single day. And now, 2 of my most popular stories will pop up on the screen so you can choose what to watch next. Okay,